Assalamualaikum. We are from Group 2 and we are presenting a short story about Lamb to the Slaughter. So, this group consists of me, Emilia, Nasuha, Patricia, Putri Balkis, and Iliani. So, without further ado, let's begin. So, let's begin with short story information. First, we have the title. The title is Lamb to the Slaughter, written by Roald Dahl. This short story was originally published in Harper's Magazine in September 1953. Roald Dahl is also known as both brilliant children's storyteller and a dark, ironic short fictions for adults. He is well known for both the adults and the children's.
Hi, my name is Naswa. I'm going to present about the plot and the fighter triangle. Let's begin with position. The story opens in warm, cozy homes where Mary Melanie and a pregnant housewife is lovingly waiting for her husband, Patrick, to return from work. She is sewing and thinking fondly about him. These peaceful settings make us believe that everything is normal. Mary seemed devoted and happy in her room. There was a slow, smiling air about her, about everything and she did, and she loved to luxuriate in the presence of this man. This could just show just how deeply she cared about Patrick and how much she enjoyed their quiet life. Now we move into the rising action. When Patrick comes home, his behavior is unusual. He cold, distant, and drink more than usual. Then he delivers devastating news that he is leaving Mary. Mary is shocked and heartbroken. In the day, she walked to the cellar to get a dinner, a frozen leg of lamb. This is a key turning point where the tension builds. We hear Patrick say, "This is going to be a big shock to you, I'm afraid." And Mary's reaction? Her first instinct was not to believe any of it, and that she herself had imagined the whole thing. It showed how disoriented and hurt she. Next, we reach the climax, the most intense part of the story. Without thinking, Mary swings leg of lamb to kills Patrick. It's sudden and shocking. This is where the story takes sharp turn from domestic drama to crime, like in the slide we show. This is where Mary truly transforms a character. The next slide is the following action. Mary quickly regains herself and begins to crafting a plan. She rehearses her lines, go to the grocery store to create an alibi, and returns home, pretending to discover the murder. She plays the grieving wife perfectly when the police arrive. As we can see from the slide, she said it was easy and no acting was necessary. And earlier, she told the grocer Patrick decided he's tired and wants to eat out tonight. Mary is calm, clever, and completely in control. Finally, the resolution. In brilliant twist, the police, while searching for the murder weapon, end up eating the cooked leg of lamb, all while Mary listened from another room. One detective even say it was probably under our very nose. What do you think, Jack? And in the last line, Melanie began to giggle. The story ends with dark humor and irony. Mary was not only gotten away with murder, but she tricked the very people looking for the evidence. That's it from me. Thank you.
So, hello everyone. My name is Iliani Midyara Anusri. I'm from section 403. By today, I'm going to explain about conflicts, setting, and also one of the literary devices based on the slide that I provided here. Now, let's talk about the conflicts in the story. So, before we even started, do you guys know what is the meaning of the conflicts? No. So, basically, conflicts is essential to the plot and character development for a short story analysis. Now, let's talk about the conflicts in the story. There are two types of conflict: internal conflicts and also external conflicts. So, what is internal conflicts? Internal conflicts, it refers to something that related with thoughts and also feelings, and external conflicts is relating to something that associate with their circles, and also it's more like it involved with their own surroundings. You guys get it? It's involved with their surroundings and their circles, and it doesn't really take yourself but also outsider. So think of it as a internet as the inside box and external as the outside box. Okay, so for my first point is based on internal conflicts that I stated. Right, for my Canva is on the other hand, what about the child? What about the law? What about the murder with unborn children? Did they kill them both mother and child? Or did they wait until the 10th month? What did they do? So these sentences explain the internal conflicts happened within Mary Melanie. Her internal struggles is showing when she started to feel worried or possibly had a feeling of fear or guilty about killing her husband. So this was the reason for her to have a conflict with her own thought, as the thought went on spiral and getting more confused as she tries to process what this means and what was going to happen to her and her unborn child in the upcoming days. So as for my second point, which is the external conflicts is more visible, it includes police versus Mary. Mary interaction became tense as the police started questioning her, which made her feel more under pressure. Although they don't realize it, they come to her home, treat her kindly, and also ask her questions like, did she know, he asked, of anything in the house that could be used as a weapon? So ironically, the murder weapon right there and they were about to eat it. This conflict, both psychological and physical, build suspense and keep the reader engaged from the start to finish. Alright, so moving on with the next slide. Let's get through with settings. So what is settings? Setting is the time and places of the story. So which is for this topic, the story takes places in the 1950s, which is suggested by the traditional domestic lifestyle. Mary is portrayed as a typical housewife and Patrick as a working policeman. So eventually this reflects the gender role of that era. The main setting is Melanie household, particularly the living room. The room is described as warm and clean, the curtain drawn, the two table lamps alight. This description paints a peaceful, comforting environment, one that feels safe and normal. However, it becomes a very scary place where the murder takes place. That contrast is intentional because it's a highlight how something that seems calm and ordinary can hide something very dark underneath. So, another important setting is the grocery store. It seemed like just a regular part of Mary's routine, but she used it to create alibi. Her cheerful conversation with the grocer Sam make it seem like nothing is wrong. This shows how ordinary spaces are cleverly used in the story to build suspense and hide the truth. So, overall, the setting in these stories help build the tone, starting off worms and domestics and slowly shifting it into something more chilling.
So my slide is part theme. Okay, now it start with what seemed like an ordinary evening in a quiet household and unravel into something shocking, tragic, and darkly clever. So for the themes, at the heart of Lamb to the Slaughter is the quiet heartbreak of being abandoned by someone you love unconditionally. Mary Melanie. Let's take a closer look at Mary. At first, she's gentle, cheerful, and full of love. She dotes on Patrick, and you can feel how much she currently enjoys just being around him. She loves to luxuriate in the presence of this man. But Mary is also emotionally fragile. She has built her whole world around her husband. So when that world suddenly crumbles, she doesn't just feel pain. She loses her grip on reality for a moment. Her first instinct was not to believe any of it. That line says so much. It's not denial, it's disbelief. Like her mind simply cannot process what she is hearing. and that is what makes her action, while horrifying, feel deeply human. The second character and characteristic, we have Patrick Maloney. Then there's Patrick. Here is a man of few words. Too few, honestly. When he tells Mary he is leaving, it is emotionless rehearsals, almost like he is making a business decision, not franking someone's heart. I have thought about it a good deal. He is cool and maybe even cowardly. He doesn't argue or take responsibility. He just wants it to be over quickly. Even though Mary is pregnant, he offers her money and asks for no fuss. It will be very good for my job. It's not just what he say, it's what he doesn't say. No apologize, no explanation. That silence is what breaks Mary. And finally, the police. There's not bad guy. They're just too trusting. They see Mary as a sweet pregnant woman who just lost her husband. They know her. They like Patrick. They want to help. They were exceptionally nice to her. But their kindness blinds them. They don't even question her. And in a brilliant moment of irony, they literally destroyed the evidence by eating it. Please eat it. Eat it. Personally, I cannot touch a thing. The weapon, a frozen leg of lamb, is now serving for dinner. It's a dark, it's a funny, and it's a tragic.
So hi, my name is Patricia binti Muhammad Rizandi, and I'm from section 4.03. So moving on to my slide. So this slide is about tone and style. So what is tone? Tone is how the narrator feel like you can hear the tone through the way the narrator writes. So in this short story, The Lamb to the Slaughter, the narrator used ironic tone in this story. And then style. So style is the way the narrator writes. Focus on the story the short story is presented. Like as you can see in my slide, the narrator used realistic yet twisted style. So let's talk about POV. What is POV? POV stands for point of view. What is point of view? Point of view is the perspective from which story is narrated. It is determining how the events of the story are presented to the reader and who provides the information about character, setting, and action. So based on my short story, our short story, The Lamb and the Slaughter, it is a third-person limited omniscient. So what is third-person limited omniscient? Third-person limited omniscient is when the story is told from an outside narrator's point of view, but the narrator only knows the thought and feeling of one character. In The Lamb to the Slaughter, the narrator used Mary Melanie. Like, we only get to know what the one specific character is thinking or feeling. So, based on my slide, she told herself, so I've killed him. The author knows Mary's thought and feeling, but the author, but narrators don't mention what others think or feel.
Hi, I'm Putri Nur Emilia Natasha, and I'll be presenting literary devices. So first, we got imagery. So imagery is descriptive language that appeals to the five senses: sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch, to create vivid pictures for the readers. For example, based on the slide, the room was warm and clean, the curtains drawn, and 2 table lamps alight. So, based on the short story Lamb to the Slaughter, this quote sets a calm, cozy, and domestic sense, which contrasts sharply with the violence that follows. Alright, I'm sorry. So Roald Dahl uses imagery to create a false sense of security for the reader, an environment that feels safe and familiar, making the twist more interesting and shocking. So, the detailed sensory language helps draw the reader into Mary Melanie's seemingly perfect world, deepening the impact when she kills her husband with a leg of lamb. Okay, so the second one is irony. So, irony is a contrast between expectations and reality. So, dramatic irony occurs when the audience knows what the characters do not. So, for example, from the slide, probably right under our very noses. So, based on this short story, this line is a dramatic irony at its finest. The police are discussing where the murder weapon might be. While eating it, the roasted leg of lamb Mary used to kill her husband. The readers know what the detective do not, which adds a layer of dark humor and tension. Irony in the story is used to critique the justice system and highlights Mary's seemingly cunning ability to manipulate the situation. And lastly, we have symbolism. So, symbolism is the use of objects, characters, or events to represent the deeper meanings beyond their literal sense. So, from the slide, we have the leg of lamb symbolizes domesticity and destruction, as something that is meant to be food becomes a weapon. So, based on this short story, the leg of lamb is a powerful symbol that carries multiple layers of meaning. First, we got domestic life. Second, we have violence and betrayal. And third, we have irony and deception. So, domestic life, it represents Mary's role as a devoted housewife, preparing dinner for her husband. Violence and betrayal, it becomes an instrument of murder, turning a nurturing act into one of destruction. And lastly, irony and deception. A tool of the home becomes a murder weapon, and then ironically, it's eaten by the police, destroying the evidence. So, the deeper interpretation of This is The Lake of Lamb, highlights the transformation of Mary Melanie from passive and domestic to active and cunning. It critiques the assumptions of 1950s gender roles that a wife couldn't possibly be capable of such violence, especially using something so harmless. So that's it for our presentation. Thank you.